those of you who know soft drinks and seltzer, they contain carbon dioxide. Okay, and the pH of those is acidic. That's because when you add carbon dioxide to water, you create carbonic acid. The water becomes more acidic.
Kills all the sea life.
Well, yeah, it does kill some sea life, and that's true. But more importantly, what it does is that the oceans are now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember, is it 7.9 or 7.1? I think it's 7. I think we're running about 8 pH of about 8 right now.
Okay.
We're within a few tenths of the pH that allows calcium carbonate shells to exist.
Okay.
Okay. So if it gets a few tenths of a pH more acidic, and I believe that's 7, 8, or 9, then calcium carbonate shells don't exist. They can't form because the oceans are too acid.
That's like clams, mussels, anything.
Clams,
like
mussels,
that.
But more importantly than clams and mussels, not that those are important, is that the phytoplankton that are the foundation of the food chain, are the source of a majority of the oxygen in the atmosphere, can't exist because they exist on the basis of their shells. So what we're talking about is a collapse of the ocean food chain. The implications are overwhelming. Even more so than the refugee sea level issue that we're talking about.
It's a multitude of factors.
So it's a real problem. You know, Houston, we have a problem.
What are the major roadblocks that we're facing in order to get everybody together here and make a change?
Well, there's two levels to that question in my mind.
Okay.
One is, what could we do? What logistically, technically, industrially are we capable of doing that would address this, right? And what roadblocks are there, if any? The other is, what are the roadblocks in terms of our psyche, right? What is it that needs to happen in order for us as a species to actually shift gears?
Something bad, usually.
That's the course of history, unfortunately.
Yeah, usually something bad. The difficulty at the moment is that by the time something sufficiently bad happens, that we might historically say, well, that'll get us going, right? We're already past the point where the things that we can do are going to make a big difference, right? Maybe, you know. Here's the way I understand it. As a species, evolutionarily, right? There's, we just go right back to Darwin. You know, there's variation amongst each generation, and the generation, and those amongst that variation that are in the right place on the curve are the ones that pass on their characteristics to the next generation, and then there's variation. Well, you can imagine that one of the variables in human characteristics is how adventurous we are, right? Okay, people who are willing to throw all history to the wind and go off and try something completely different, right, is one end of the spectrum, and people who are unwilling to try anything different, right, but are going to do only that which came before, is another end of the spectrum, and everything in between, right? Okay. Obviously, at one end of the spectrum, you're at great risk because, gosh, you know, you try all kinds of new things, right? And
you're going to fall off a mountain.
You're going to fall off a mountain, you're not going to get very far, right? And if you can't, also on the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum, if you can't make any changes, why then you're stuck and the world changes, and you haven't got the ability to change with it, right? So there's a medium somewhere, and our average characteristic ability to accept new things is sort of the result of that evolutionary trend. You know, folks who have about the amount of adventurousness, if you will, that we all have, we're the ones who made it forward. And I think what that reflects is that, on the whole, doing something different is pretty dangerous. Okay, there's a lot of ways to screw up.
A lot of risk.
There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of ways to screw up by doing something unknown.
Right.
Okay, and if you do the things that were done the way they've been done, you're probably pretty good to go, right? And so we have a bias, right, towards doing things the way we have done. And the unfortunate thing is that that it makes it hard for us to believe that what we're doing is not going to work out, right? We have a biological predisposition to
plan.
What we're doing now is working. We got to keep doing it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? Exactly. So the point is, we have this, as I understand it, an intrinsic characteristic to overcome. we have that ability. We have the consciousness or the ability to reflect that does allow us to go, okay, this is a characteristic that we have, right? And it is a problem in this instance, and we do need to take that risk. So that's our opportunity. And that's what I see the need for us. And that's what I see as the one of the important messages that we need to convey. We have a capability that allows us to reflect on where we are and to understand that we must wrestle not with, I'm going to say in a moment, it's not a technological problem. It is a problem that the problem that we're wrestling with is our own intrinsic nature. And we have to go, okay, this is what's happening. It's hard for us to get our arms around it. We've got to do that if we want civilization to continue.
It's not just about going green or whatever. It's way deeper level than that.
Way deeper. Yeah. And you know, folks can argue, and I have argued on occasion, and will at times, you know, that even presenting it as a green or, you know, putting it in those terms defeats the purpose in some regards, because it's like the implication and the association of those words is we need to give something up in order to be moral. No, we don't. We need to act to survive.